Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayam Udirayet Shunvata Swakada Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtanaha Hriyantasto hi abhadrani vidnoti suhritsatam Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavate uttama shloke bhakti bhavatna istiki. Okay, I'll share my screen. So we are reading Canto 3, Srimad Bhagavatam, this status quo, Chapter 9, Brahma's Prayers for Creative Energy, text number 41, I think. Purtena tapasa yajnair yoga samadhina radham nishvayesham pumsham mat pritis tattvai inmatam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. It is the opinion of expert transcendentalists that the ultimate goal of performing all traditional good works, penances, sacrifices, charities, mystic activities, trances, etc., is to invoke my satisfaction. So, purport. There are many traditionally pious activities in human society, such as altruism, philanthropy, nationalism, internationalism, charity, sacrifice, penance, and even meditation in trance, and all of them can be fully beneficial only when they lead to the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The perfection of any activity, social, political, religious, or philanthropic, is to satisfy the Supreme Lord. This secret of success is known to the devotees of the Lord as exemplified by Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. As good non-violent man, Arjuna did not want to fight with his kinsman, but when he understood that Krishna wanted the fight and had arranged it in Kurukshetra, he gave up his own satisfaction and fought for the satisfaction of the Lord. That is the right decision for all intelligent men. One's only concern should be to satisfy the Lord one's activities. If the Lord is satisfied by an action, whatever it may be, then it is successful. Otherwise, it is simply a waste of time. That is stated of all the sacrifice, penance, austerity, mystic trance, and other good and pious work. So here it was saying that whatever that activity that we are doing, ultimately that it has to satisfy the Supreme Lord. Here purport also Prabhupada gives example that Arjuna has his own his own reservation not to fight, but when he understood Krishna's instruction, that he fought. Therefore, ultimately one has to work to satisfy Krishna. Okay, and in the Bhagavatam, second canto, verse number 13 also says in the same line that Ata Pumbir Dvijasveshta Varnashrama Vibhagashas Santustya Dharmasya Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. So whatever that one uh, ashram that one is there, whatever occupation that one is performing, ultimately that should provoke attraction to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Next. Text number 42. Aham atmanatmanam dataha pre Prestaha san preyashamapi ato mayi ratim kuryad dehadir yat krute priyaha. Translation: I am the super soul of every individual. I am the supreme director and the dearest. People are wrongly attached to the gross and subtle bodies, but they should be attached to me only. Purport: the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, is the dearest in both the conditioned and liberated states. When a person does not know that the Lord is the only dearmost object, he is in the conditioned state of life. And when one knows perfectly well that the Lord is the only dearmost object, he is considered to be liberated. There are degrees of knowing one's relationship with the Lord depending upon the degree of realization as to why the Supreme Lord is the dearmost object of every living being. The real reason is clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita 15.7. Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loki Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. The living entities are eternally parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. The living entity is called the Atma and the Lord is called Paramatma. The living entity is called Brahman and the Lord is called Parabrahman and Parameshwara. Ishvara Parama Krishna. The conditioned souls who do not have the self-realization accept the material body as the dearmost. The idea of dearmost is that then spread all over the body, then concentrated and extended. The attachment for one's own body and its extensions like children and relatives are actually developed on the basis of real living entity. As soon as the real living entity is out of the body, even the body of the most dear son is no longer attractive. Therefore, the living spark, the eternal part of the Supreme, is the real basis of affection and not the body. Because the living body are also part and parcels of whole living entity, that supreme living entity is the factual basis of affection for all. One who has forgotten the basic principle of his love for everything has only flickering love because he is in Maya. The more one is affected by the principle of Maya, the more he is detached from the basic principle of love. One cannot factually love anything unless he is fully developed in the loving service of the Lord. I think this purport is a very wonderful purport here. Krishna himself is declaring that I am the supreme director and the dearest. So people wrongly attach it to the gross and subtle bodies, but they should be attached to me only. So Krishna is saying ultimately one has to attach to himself. He himself is declaring here to Brahma. Um, Let me complete the purport and then we'll discuss. In the present verse, the stress is given on focusing love upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word Kuryat is significant here. This means one must have it. It is just to stress that we must have more and more attachment to the principle of love. The influence of Maya is experienced by the part and parcel spiritual body, spiritual entity, but it cannot influence the super soul, the Paramatma. The Mayavadi philosophers, accepting the influence of Maya on the living entity, want to become one with Paramatma. But because they have no actual love for Paramatma, they remain ever entrapped by the influence of Maya and are unable to approach the vicinity of Paramatma. This inability is due to their lack of affection for Paramatma. A rich miser does not know how to utilize his wealth, and therefore, in spite of his being very rich, his miserly behavior keeps him everlastingly a poor man. On the other hand, a person who knows how to utilize the wealth can quickly become a rich man, even with a small credit balance. The eyes and the sun are very intimately related uh, because without sunlight, the eyes are unable to see, but the other parts of the body, being attached to the sun as a source of warmth, take more advantage of the sun than do the eyes. So, without possessing affection for the sun, the eyes cannot bear the rays of sun. Or, in other words, such eyes have no capacity to understand the utility of the sun rays. Similarly, the empiric philosophers, despite their theoretical knowledge of Brahman, cannot utilize the mercy of the Supreme Brahman because they lack affection. So many impersonal philosophers remain everlastingly under the influence of Maya because although they indulge in theoretical knowledge of Brahman, they do not develop affection for Brahman, nor do they have any scope for development of affection because of their defective method. A devotee of the sun god, even though devoid of eyesight, can see the sun god as he is, even from this planet, whereas one who is not a devotee of the sun cannot even bear the glaring sunlight. Similarly, by devotional service, even though one is not on the level of jnani, one can see the personality of Godhead within himself due to his development of pure love. In all circumstances, one should try to develop love of God, and that will solve all contending problems. So ultimately, we have one has to love the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Otherwise, the factual love that they have in this material world is not complete. I think in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu book also, Prabhupada points out that all our propensities, we are, every one of us has that propensity to love somebody, but our love shows something either again to my own body or my extended parts like family or the community or the society or for the country like that. We develop our love, but ultimately one has to come onto the platform of loving the Supreme Lord. Otherwise there is no meaning, or there is no, the love, our love is not complete in this efficiency. So here, the dearest most, Krishna is saying that uh, people are wrongly attached to the gross and the subtle bodies. So where is that the quality of loving, the dearest most loving object for one is actually to his self, his own self. He likes, he loves himself, or his false ego is extended, then the loving propensity will be extended to our part and parts. I mean, extended to our family or our children or their parents, something like that. So the propensity to love is actually coming from Krishna only. Because why we love self? Because Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So we are all being part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. The loving nature also derived from Supreme Lord. But when that false ego is extended, the love actually will go to all other objects. But even indirectly, in one sense, when we love um, um, extended family members or whatever that in this material world is also external energy of the Supreme Lord. In one sense, we are indirectly loving Krishna even when we love things that belongs to this material world. But ultimately, we need to shift our focus to Supreme Lord, then it has the meaning. Even on the platform of, if you see in the 10th canto, in the Brahma Vimohana Leela, the Brajavasis actually love Krishna more than his own children. How they got that much love towards Krishna? Because Prabhupada says all Brajavasis, whatever the Vrindavan, they have pure consciousness. In pure consciousness, the soul always love the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. So in that way, they love Krishna more than his children. So in the Brahma Vimohana Leela, when Krishna himself manifested, himself extended himself, and they became their own children, their actually parents actually start loving their children more than before. How they are able to do that? Because they're loving Krishna so much. Even in the pastimes of Vrindavan pastimes, uh, indirectly everyone loves Krishna. Even they are preparing butter so that Krishna will come to their home, and they eat. Krishna eat the butter. That is the mood the Vrajavasis have. That is so much love. Even when they go to Yashoda Mai and then complained about Krishna's mischievous activities, still they love Krishna so much. So that is how the our love has to be um, go to ultimately Krishna. So that's what Krishna is telling here. Ultimately, they should be attached to me only, not external body, gross and subtle bodies. Text number 43. Sarva Vedamaye Nedam Atmanatmana Yonina Raja Sruja Yatha Purvam Yascha Mayi Anuserate. By following my instructions, you can now generate the living entities as before. By dint of your complete Vedic wisdom and the body, you have directly received from me the supreme cause of everything. I think the reason here Krishna is instructing to Lord Brahma here, you can now generate the living entities as before. That means every kalpa, I think Lord Brahma, the Visarga, the secondary creation starts. Therefore, I think here he is writing here, no, the living entities that you did as before. Maybe that is my understanding. Maitreya, text number 44. Maitreya Uvacha Tasma Evam Jagat Sristastre Pradhana Purusheva Varaha Vyajedam Svena Rupena Kanjanabhas Tirobhade Tirodhade. Translation. The sage Maitreya said, after instructing Brahma, the creator of the universe, to expand the primeval Lord, the personality of Godhead, in his personal form as Narayana, then he disappeared. Purport. Before his activity in creating the universe, Brahma saw the Lord. That is the explanation of the Chatusloki Bhagavatam. When the creation awaited Brahma's activity, Brahma saw the Lord, and therefore the Lord existed in his personal form before the creation. His eternal form is not created by the attempt of Brahma as imagined by less intelligent man. The personality of Godhead appeared as he is before Brahma, and he disappeared from him in the same form, which is not materially changed. Thus the end the Bhaktivedanta purports of third canto, ninth chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Brahma's Prayers for Creative Energy. I think Lord Vishnu, after instructing Lord Brahma, he disappeared from there. From with that, I think we completed chapter number 9. We go chapter number 10. Divisions of the creation.
So is there any discussion here? Anybody has anything that they want to share?
Okay, Prabhu.
I'm just curious if there is anything that anybody wants to share or ask or discuss. This will be the time to do it before we get into the next chapter. Anybody has anything that they would like to share? So I had a summary of chapter 9, what exactly is happening, but I think we'll do that maybe after Kartik month. Maybe I can just summarize, all the chapters that we are reading in this month. There are a lot of beautiful points here.
You want to do it now, Prabhu?
No, Prabhu, I think it will take too much time.
Okay.
Two slides and so many things to discuss. So I'll do it later. I had promised that I'll do this week, but
We can
until
do it. Haribol Prabhu, we can do it this week, right? Saturday morning, why don't you do that?
Saturday morning is Bhagavatam class.
Yeah.
We have Kripa Maya Prabhu giving lecture this Saturday, Prabhu.
Then next Saturday you can do like the summary.
Yeah, next Saturday is my turn.
Yeah, that will be, I think, better, because if you do all of the summary one after another in one day or 2 day, maybe too much.
Right.
That's my idea, but
Yes, Prabhu.
I think all of the audience, right, what we have now, they may not be there on Saturday morning. I don't know. I'm fine with that too.
You had your haircut, Prabhu. Rupa Vilas Prabhu will look good.
Mm.
they can come.
Ah.
I'm saying like more devotee may come that way.
No, I mean I can quickly go through the slide. I may not be able to talk much. It's only 7 minutes left.
Okay.
Or you can do tomorrow also. And
Right. Yes, Prabhu. So continue, Prabhu. Reading next chapter.
Okay, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Vidura uvacha antarhite bhagavati brahmaloka pitamaha raja tasja katida daihikir manasir vibhuhu. Translation. Sri Vidura said, O great sage, please let me know how Brahma, the grandfather of the planetary inhabitants, created the bodies of living entities from his own body and mind after the disappearance of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Vidura is inquiring from Maitreya how the Brahma continued his creation. Text number 2. ये च मे भगवान् कृतास् त्वयि अर्धा बाहुवित्तमा तान् वदस्वानुपूर्वेण chindina sarva samshayan. Translation. O greatly learned one, kindly eradicate all my doubts and let me know of all that I have inquired from you from the beginning to the end. Purport. Vidura asked all relevant questions of Maitreya because he knew well that Maitreya was the right person to reply all the points of his inquiries. One must be confident about the qualifications of his teacher. One should not approach a layman for replies to specific spiritual inquiries. Such inquiries, when replied to with imaginative answers by the teacher, or a program for wasting of time. So Prabhupada makes very good point here that one should not inquire spiritual inquiries with everybody, whatever that. So the imaginative answers that you get may mislead you in the spiritual life. Therefore, it's a waste of time. So one has to approach a bona fide representative of the Krishna to learn the subject matters of Krishna. So that is that is what he's saying here. Text number 3. Suta uvacha evam sansadotistena Shaktara Kausharavirmunihi Pritaha Pratyahatan Prasnan Vidistan Atabhargava. Translation. Suta Goswami said, O son of Bhrigu, the great sage Maitreya Muni, thus hearing from Vidura, felt very much enlivened. Everything was in his heart and thus he began to reply to the questions one after another. The phrase Suta Uvacha, Suta Goswami said, appears to indicate a break in the disclosure between Maharaj Parikshit and Sukadev Goswami. While Sukadev Goswami was speaking to Maharaj Parikshit, Suta Goswami was the only member of the large audience. But Suta Goswami was speaking to the sages of Naimisaranya, headed by the sage Saunaka, a descendant of Sukadev Goswami. This, however, does not make any substantial difference in the topics under discussion. Text number 4. Maitreya Vacha विरिञ्चोऽपि तथा चक्रे दिव्यं वर्षासतं तपः आत्मनि आत्मानामादेश्य यताः भगवान् अजः. Translation. The greatly learned sage Maitreya said, O Vidura, Brahma thus engaged himself in penances for 100 celestial years as advised by the personality of Godhead and applied himself in devotional service to the Lord. Purport. That Brahma engaged himself for the personality of Godhead Narayana means that he engaged himself in the service of the Lord. That is the highest penance one can perform for any number of years. There is no retirement from such service which is eternal and ever increasing. So Brahma made 100 celestial years as advised by the personality of Godhead in the devotional service to the Lord. Text number 5. Tad vilokyabja sambhuto vayuna yad adis adistitaha padman ambascha tat kala krutaviryena kampitam. Translation. Therefore, Brahma saw that both the lotus on which he was situated and the water on which the lotus was growing were trembling due to a strong, violent wind. The material world is called illusory because it is the place of forgetfulness of the transcendental service of the Lord. Thus, one engaged in the Lord's devotional service in the material world may sometimes be very much disturbed by awkward circumstances. There is a declaration of the war between the two parties, the illusory energy and the devotee. And sometimes the weak devotee fall victim to the onslaught of the powerful illusory energy. Lord Brahma, however, was sufficiently strong by the causeless mercy of the Lord, and he could not be victimized by the material energy, although it gave him cause for anxiety when it managed to totter the existence of his position. So even Brahma was actually in great anxiety. What was when he was on the lotus flower, and and himself is trembling due to strong and violent wind. So here Prabhupada says, no, in the purport, uh, the material world is called illusory because it's a place of forgetfulness of the transcendental service of the Lord. Because of the forgetfulness of the Lord, this material world, we exist in this world. So Lord Brahma is also faced difficulties in his when he was performing his devotional service. In the same way as a devotee who is practicing devotional service also, he has his own obstacles, problems, issues while performing devotional service. But devotee knows that um, when he was undergoing the difficulties, problems, actually it is giving him a purification. Uh, when the purification happens, the heart gets purified, and ultimately the real love for Krishna awakens. So, as a living entity, we have as a marginal energy, even though we belong to the superior energy of the Supreme Lord, we have always choice to choose to internal energy of Krishna or become victim to the material energy. So sometimes we become victims, most of the times, not sometimes. we becomes victimized by this material energy. That gives us cause big anxiety in this material world. Text number 6. Tapasya hi edhamanena vidhaya chatma samstaya vivirdha vijnana balo nanyap nyapad vayum saham saham bhasa. Translation. Long penance and transcendental knowledge of self-realization had matured Brahma in practical knowledge, and thus he drank the wind completely along with water. For Lord Brahma's struggle for existence in a personal example of continued fight between the living entities in the material world and the illusory energy called Maya. Beginning from Brahma down to this age, the living entities are struggling with the forces of material nature. By advanced knowledge in science and transcendental realization, one can try to control the material energy which works against our endeavors. And in the modern age, advanced material scientific knowledge and penance have played very wonderful roles in controlling the powers of material energy. Such control of the material energy, however, can be most successfully carried out if one is a soul surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and carries out his order in the spirit of loving transcendental service. Ramachandra Prabhu, 733. So, do you want me to continue few more verses or you stop here?
Oh, you can read one more, Prabhu. It doesn't take it. 20 minutes is sufficient for Damodar Astakam. So you can go until
Okay.
7:40, Prabhu.
Okay, bro. What happened? Is not going next verse. Okay. Tadvilokya vivadyapi pushkaram yad adhistitam anena lokan praglinan kalpitamiti achintayat. Translation. Therefore he saw that the lotus on which he was situated was spread throughout the universe, and he contemplated how to create all planets which were previously merged in that very same lotus. Purport. The seeds of all the planets in the universe were impregnated in the lotus on which Brahma was situated. All the planets were already generated by the Lord, and all the entities were also born in Brahma. The material world and the living entities were all already generated in seedling forms by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Brahma was to disseminate the same seedlings all over the universe. The real creation is therefore called Sarga, and the later on, the manifestation by Brahma is called the Visarga. So, as we all know, Krishna is the primary creator, and Krishna already provided all the ingredients, all the everything he provided to Lord Brahma for him to expand. So the secondary creator is Lord Brahma. That's called Visarga. So because the material, all the planets and everything, the footwork is completely given by Krishna, and Brahma is actually going ahead creating the planets which were already previously merged that universe in the same lotus. Text number 8. Padmakosham tada vishya bhagavat karma choditaha ekam yabhanshid puruddha tridha bhavyam dvisaptadha. Translation. Thus engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Brahma entered into the whole of the lotus, and as it spread all over the universe, he divided it into 3 divisions of world and later into 14 divisions. Text 9. एतावान् जीवलोकस्य संस्थाभेदसम्पृतः धर्मस्य हि अनिमित्तस्य Vipakan Paramesti Ashau. Translation: Lord Brahma is the most exalted personality in the universe because of his causeless devotional service unto the Lord in mature transcendental knowledge. He therefore created all the 14 planetary divisions for inhabitants by different types of living entities. Purport: The Supreme Lord is the reservoir of all of the qualities of the living entities. The conditioned souls in the material world reflect only part of those qualities, and therefore they are sometimes called pratibhimbas. The pratibhimba living entities, as part and parcels of the Supreme Lord, have inherited different proportions of his original qualities, and in terms of their inheritance of these qualities, they appear as different species of life and are accommodated in different planets according to the plan of Brahma. The Brahma is the creator of the three worlds, namely the lower planets called the Patala Lokas, the middle planets called the Bhulokas, and the upper planets called Swarga Lokas. Still higher planets such as Maharloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka, and Brahmaloka do not dissolve in the devastating water. This is because of the causeless devotional service rendered unto the Lord by their inhabitants, whose existence continues up to the end of the Paradha time, when they are generally liberated from the chain of birth and death in the material world. So, as we said in the previous verse, the Lord Brahma is Visarga, he is the secondary creator, he is continuing to create basing on the ingredients that are provided by the Supreme Lord. Here, Krishna already gave like three lokas, as said here, Patal Loka, that's the Patal Loka, middle planets, Bhur Loka, and upper planets, the Swarga Lokas, these three. And still higher planets like Maharloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka, and Brahmaloka, these are all the upper planetary systems that includes all 14 planetary systems. But when the partial inhalation occurred, so that time these upper parts of the planetary system like Maharloka, Taparloka, Satyaloka, and Brahmaloka will not will stay as it is even during the partial annihilation. That is because causeless devotional service rendered by unto the Lord by their inhabitants. So I think that is what here. Maybe I think we can stop here. Already 7:40 now. Anybody has any quick want to share extra? Please do so, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay, Prabhu, if there is nothing, then we can get into Damodar Astakam. Ratan is going to chant today, and if devotees would like, they can do the lamp offering at that time. So we'll chant the. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Nama Vishwaram Sachidanandadupam Lasatunalam Gokule Brajamanam Nama Vishwaram Sachidanandadupam Lasatunalam Gokule Brajamanam Nama Vishwaram Sachidanandarupam Vasatundalam Gokule Bhajamanam Nama Vishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Bhajamanam Yasoda vihulo kaladadamanam Paramastam atanto dhruva
drutaya gopya Yasoda vihulokaladamanam Paramastamatan drutaya gopya Yasoda vihulokaladamanam Paramastam atyanto drutaya gopya Soda vihulokaladamanam Paramastam atyanto drutaya gopya Rudantam muhurneta yugmam nijantam Karam bhoja yugamena satankanetam Rudantam muhurneta yugmam nijantam Karam bhoja yugamena satankanetam Muhu swasakam patri rekhanta kanta Sita devam damodaram bhaktivadam Muhu swasakam patri rekhanta kanta Sita devam damodaram bhaktivadam Iti diksha lila bir ananda kunde Sagosam limanjantam akyapayantam Iti diksha lila bir ananda kunde Sagosam limanjantam akyapayantam Tadiye sitage subhakta jitatam Puna premata samsata viti bande Tadiye sitage subhakta jitatam Puna premata samsata viti bande Param devam moksham nam moksham adima Nachanyam varneham vare sadapiha Param devam moksham nam moksham adima Nachanyam varneham vare sadapiha Param devam moksham nam moksham adima Nachanyam varneham vare sadapiha Param devam moksham nam moksham adima Nachanyam varneham vare sadapiha Idam te vapurnata gopala balam Sada me manasi avirastam kimanya Idam te vapurnata gopala balam Sada me manasi avirastam kimanya Idam te mukam bojam attantanile Vratam kuntalesni dadakta shagopya Idam te mukam bojam attantanile Vratam kuntalesni dadakta shagopya Idam te mukam bojam attantanile Vratam kuntalesni dadakta shagopya Idam te mukam bojam attantanile Vratam kuntalesni dadakta shagopya Muhu shumbitam bimba rakta dharam me Manasi abhirastam alam lakshalabe Shunjitam bimbarakadaram me Manasi abhirastam alam lakshalabe Shunjitam bimbarakadaram me Manasi abhirastam alam lakshalabe Shumbitam bimbarakadaram me Manasi abhirastam alam lakshalabe Namo Deva Damodaryananta Vishnu Kasida Prabhu Dukha Jalatimagam 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 Kripa Drishti Vishyati Dinam Vadanu Dhyane Samam Majnam Iti Yakshadrishya Kripa Drishti Vishyati Dinam Vadanu Dhyane Samam Majnam Iti Yakshadrishya Kuberatma Jaupadam Mrutayayatvat Vayamuchitau Bhakti Bhajokitau Cha Kuberatma Jaupadam Mrutayayatvat Vayamuchitau Bhakti Bhajokitau Cha Tatha Prema Bhaktim Swakam me prayacha Namokshe gaho me asti damodreha Tatha prema bhaktim swakam me prayacha Namokshe gaho me asti damodreha Namaste Sudame Supradipti Dame Tadiyadarayata Vishwasadamne Namaste Sudamne Supradipti Dame Tadiyadarayata Vishwasadamne Namo Radhikaya Dodiya Priyaya Namo Nandalilaya Devaya Tuvyam Namo Radhikaya Dodiya Priyaya Namo Nandalilaya Devaya Tuvyam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar, Radha Shyam Sundar Shri Radhe, Radha
Shyam Sundar Shri Radhe,
Radha Damodar, Radha Damodar Shri Radhe,
Radha Damodar, Radha Damodar Shri Radhe,
Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra Mai, Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya
Baladev Jaya Subhadra Mai,
Jaya Gaudani Thai, Jaya Gaudani Thai, Jaya Gaudani Thai, Jaya Gaudani Thai,
Gauranita,
Jaya
Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita,
Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada,
Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada,
Gauda Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gauda Hari Bol, Nitai
Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Hari Bol, Nitai Gauda
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. So please read the translation and one person from each family. So we don't want so that others can read. So please start reading. Hari Bol.
To the supreme controller who poses and internal from of blissful knowledge, whose listening earrings swing to and fro, who manifested himself himself in Gokula, who stole the butter that the gopis kept hanging from the rafters of their storerooms, and who then quickly jumped up and ran in retreat in fear of Mother Yashoda, but was ultimately caught. To that Supreme Lord Sri Damodara, I offer my humble obeisances.
Seeing his mother slipping sick, he cried and rubbed his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes were purple and his breathing was quick, and as Mother Yashoda bound his belly with ropes, he shivered in fright, and his pearl necklace shook. To this Supreme Lord Sri Damodara, I offer my humble obeisances.
Those super excellent pastimes of Lord Krishna's babyhood drowned the inhabitants of Gokulam in pools of ecstasy. To the devotees who are attracted only to his majestic aspect in Narayana and Vaikuntha, the Lord Heaven reveals, I am conquered and overwhelmed by pure loving devotion. To the Supreme Lord Sri Damodara, my obeisances hundreds and hundreds of times.
O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benediction, I do not pray to you for liberation nor eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon. My only prayer is that your childhood pastime may constantly appear in my mind. O Lord, I do not even want to know your features of Paramatma. I simply wish that your childhood pastime may ever be enacted in my heart.
O Lord, the cheeks of your blackish lotus face, which is encircled by locks of curling hair, have become reddened like a bimba fruit due to Mother Yashoda's kisses. What more can I describe than this? Millions of opulences are of no use to me, but may this vision constantly remain in my mind.
O unlimited Vishnu, O Master, O Lord, be pleased upon me. I am drowning in an ocean of sorrow and am almost like a dead man. Please shower the rain of mercy on me, uplift me, and protect me with your nectarine vision.
O Lord Damodara, in your form as a baby, Mother Yashoda bound you to a grinding stone with a rope for tying cows. You then freed the sons of Kuvera, Manigriva and Nala Kuvera, who were cursed to stand as trees, and you gave them the chance to become your devotees. Please bless me in the same way. I have no desire for liberation into your effulgence.
O Lord, the entire universe was created by the Lord Brahma, who was born from your abdomen, which was bound with a rope by Mother Yashoda. To this rope I offer my humble obeisances. I offer my obeisances to your most beloved Srimati Radharani and to your unlimited pastimes. Hare Krishna.
जय श्री श्री राधा दामोदर भगवान की जय, जय श्री राधा गिरि गोवर्धन की जय, राधा श्याम सुंदर भगवान की। ISKCON founder Acharya His Divine Grace Shri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki, Assemble Bhakta Vrind ki, Nitai Gaur Prem Nandi Hari Hari Bol. Vanchkalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyayevasya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Jai Sri Sri Vaishnava Vrind ki Jai. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So we'll begin tomorrow at the same time, 7 p.m., 7 to 7:30, Bhagavatam recitation, and then 7:30 to 8 o'clock or 7:40 to 8 o'clock, we'll have Damodar Ashtakam for the month of Kartik. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Dandavats.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hari Hari Mataji Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hari Hari.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Oh, Hari Bol. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for coming.
Okay, Prabhu, I'll end the call now. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu, you can end the call, Prabhu.